look, it's the middle of the night. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you a list of all the books I've been reading in quarantine so far, and also just one extra book that I think is necessary in quarantine, or unless you get easily freaked out, then maybe not. In first year of uni I read so fast. I would go through like a novel a day, probably because I was super lonely and didn't have anything else to do. It got unhealthy and I had to slow down my reading because it was really expensive. But right before quarantine I'd started piling up books. Like when everyone was bulk buying food, I bought books. And I've also got some books waiting for delivery, but none of my parcels that I've ordered have been arriving. I wonder why. I'm just going to go through what I've sort of read in the past week or so. I have had to slow down because obviously my new books aren't arriving, and I have I've got 2.5 books left. If quarantine goes on for 3 years, I am screwed. The books in this video are just books I've read in the past week. I cannot find the other books I've read in quarantine, but anyway, the first one is called A Summer Reunion by Fanny Blake, and this is a really good book. I was supposed to be going on a cruise. I would have just got back, so I bought this as like a light-hearted summer read. It wasn't that light-hearted, but anyway, this is about 4 old friends, and they were friends in school, and a little bit of drama happened, so they don't really hang out that much anymore. And then just randomly, the one who was affected, who seems to have been affected most by the drama, is like, hey, everyone come to my villa in France. No, everyone come to my villa in Spain. And they all go, and it's just sort of like uncovering old secrets. And then there's a man from their past who was sort of the reason they fell apart, turns out to be on the island. Not ideal, and it's really interesting. Women in it are like 60 years old, and I just love reading books with a different perspective. You wouldn't normally read a book from the perspective of middle-aged women that's 60 years old, and each chapter is the perspective of different one of the women, so it's a good read. I would recommend. After that I read The Man Who Didn't Call. This has been a popular book for a while. I've seen it quite a bit, but I've only just got it. And this is about a woman who meets a man. The woman's got a dark past, the man's got a dark past, but you don't know the man has a dark past, and you don't know the truth of the woman's past. It leads you to believe one thing, but then there's a twist, and it's like, ah. So this man and woman meet, they spend 7 days together, love-filled and romantic, and then he just disappears and she doesn't hear from him. Obviously it gets revealed why she doesn't hear from him. Maybe they meet up again, who knows. Maybe he wasn't who she thought he was, and maybe she wasn't who he thought she was. The Man Who Didn't Call by Rosie Walsh. Gripping, and I was certain of what the outcome would be throughout the whole book. I was like, I'm clever, I've got this, I know what's happening, no one would think this. Actually, my prediction was so close to being right, but roles reversed, so check it out. After that I read Mad Girl by Bryony Gordon. This is more of a memoir, like non-fiction, but it's really good. It's a really easy read. I actually relate to it quite a bit because I'm not the most sane person on the planet, but it's really good if you want to learn more about mental health, or if you have mental health issues yourself, to like see that you're not alone. And it's really well written. It's funny, and that's what I like, because sometimes a non-fiction book can be a bit blah, 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 whereas this is written in a funny way, and I really like it. And the one I'm reading at the minute is called Where There's a Will, and this is about a woman and her great uncle, who she didn't know that well, leaves her a load of challenges in his will, and it's really interesting. I only started it this morning, I think, so I'm not quite there, but it's really good. I'd check it out. It's from The Works. I think The Works is a great place to buy books. I never thought of it before, but they have loads of not so mainstream books that are really cheap. For example, 3 for £5. Obviously you can't take advantage of that when you're in quarantine, but out of quarantine, check out The Works. It's great. And finally, this I haven't read recently. This I read over the summer. Okay, this might be a bit dark humour, maybe not, but this I think is the perfect book for during quarantine. This is The Siege by Helen Dunmore. and it's about Leningrad, which was a place that in the war got basically cut off, and everybody was left with no provisions, no supplies, no one had any food, they were getting treated horrible. It was an awful story. It's an awful thing that happened to them, and if you're looking for something cheery, nada, not for you, but it's good to learn about history. I love that time of history, like early 1900s, basically 1900s, so this is really good. The reason I'm recommending this for quarantine is, first of all, before lockdown started, I thought this was what quarantine was going to be like. It's not turned into quite this extreme yet, but who knows. So I felt like I was prepared. I'd read this last summer and I was thinking to myself, I'm prepared, I know from this book. So I was stocking up on jam and chocolate spread because that keeps them going. And now for quarantine and lockdown, I would say this is a great book to see how bad it could be if you're thinking, gosh, this is awful. Yeah, it's not good to belittle your emotions, but maybe just reading this makes you see the positives, how much freedom we have compared to the people of Leningrad. Quite a stark contrast. So those are my book recommendations. Maybe every few weeks I could do a video where I like say what I've been reading. If you want to see more videos like this, book related videos, I love book related videos. I do prefer them like multiple books in one video. I think a whole video about one book. I tried to do a series of that a few months ago and it was a bit difficult. So let me know what kind of stuff you want to see, what kind of book recommendations you want. If you even want book recommendations, let me know if you read any of these in the comments and let me know what you think, and let me know what books you would recommend. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.